Welcome to our Christian channel, where we aim to inspire and uplift you with powerful stories of spiritual encounters. We believe that these encounters have the power to transform lives, and that's why we're passionate about sharing them with you. Whether it's a testimony, NDE, or rapture dream, we want to hear about it and help you share your experience with the world. So we invite you to join us on this journey of faith and to send us your spiritual encounters to the email address provided in the description box. Let's grow together in our spiritual lives and be encouraged by the amazing things that God is doing in the lives of His people. Have you ever had a supernatural experience that left you questioning everything you thought you knew about the world? In today's video, we'll hear the incredible story of one woman who had not just one, but two such experiences. From the peace and love of the afterlife to the terror of a demonic entity, she's seen it all. Join us as we dive into her fascinating account and explore the mysteries of the supernatural world. Hi, my name is Heather. On February 12, 2021, my children's father decided to leave me for another woman, which resulted in a full-blown argument. He called the police because I wouldn't allow him to take our two daughters with him. When an officer arrived at my home, he saw that I had been drinking alcohol, so he proceeded to let our children go with their father. I have suffered from depression on and off for most of my life, so in a moment of despair after my children left with their father, I decided that I could not live without them. I had multiple prescription bottles in my medicine cabinet, so I swallowed a bunch of muscle relaxers and nerve pain pills trying to end my life. A couple of minutes after I had swallowed about 30 pills, I started contemplating whether to lie down and wait for the pills to take effect. For some reason, I changed my mind and decided that I really didn't want to die because my children still needed me regardless of the situation at hand. I then stormed out of my house and ran across the street to my neighbor, who was also a friend of mine at the time. I asked her to call 911 because I just took a bunch of pills and didn't really want to die. Moments later, an ambulance pulled up and the paramedics asked me some questions. They raided my bathroom for the emptied pill bottles and asked me if I wanted to drink activated charcoal, which I refused because I said I felt okay at the moment. Then they rushed me to the nearest hospital. When we arrived, they immediately took me to the emergency room, and a nurse began hooking me up to sticky patches to monitor my heart rate. A moment later, the doctor came in and started asking me questions about what I had taken. I told him I had swallowed about 15 gabapentin 600 milligrams and about 15 methylcarbamol 350 milligrams each. Suddenly, I started feeling extremely tired, my eyelids were very heavy, and I began to drift off. I heard the heart monitor flatline into a long beep, and then I entered total darkness. What felt like only a second later, I found myself in what appeared to be a plain room full of bright light. I was immediately aware of my consciousness and had a sense that there was no time where I was at. I don't think my spirit left my body because while I was in this brightly lit room, I could still hear a faint whisper of the nurse and doctor talking. Their voices began to fade, and I started to feel an overwhelming amount of love, joy, peace, warmth, and calmness envelop me and spread throughout my entire being. The love and peace I felt were 1,000,000 times better than anything I had ever experienced here on earth. It felt like a warm, cozy blanket had been tightly wrapped around me, and I just somehow knew it was God emanating His love for me and through me. A thought entered my mind, telling me that this was my true home. I remember feeling like I was one with the light and the love, as if I had been there forever. Since I was aware that there was no time to be measured, it felt like hours of basking in this warm, loving energy. After a while, I heard a stern but gentle male voice speak to me telepathically, saying, "Heather, open your eyes." I replied in my head, "No, I don't want to go back. I want to go home with you." He said again, "Heather, open your eyes. It's not your time yet." I said a couple more times that I did not want to go back, but he kept insisting that it wasn't my time yet. After 5 or 6 times of us bickering back and forth, I felt a stabbing pain in my side. My eyes popped open, and I sat straight up in the hospital bed. The doctor had injected me with something to bring me back, and he told me that my heart had stopped for 40 seconds. He instructed me to stay sitting up. I was admitted to the psychiatric ward the next morning and sent home 4 days later. My second supernatural experience occurred in July 2022. I had gotten back together with my children's father, so we decided to take a mini vacation. It was a Saturday night, so myself, my boyfriend, and our 2 children went and stayed at a Hampton Inn hotel room. After a few hours of swimming, I put my children to sleep in the bed next to us. Then I had a few glasses of wine and decided to get some sleep myself. Around 3 a.m. I closed my eyes and started to drift off when I suddenly felt an overwhelming presence of someone pinning me down to the bed. My eyes shot open, and I heard my boyfriend snoring next to me. Hovering over top of me was a hollow black entity of some sort with piercing red eyes. I tried to reach out for my boyfriend, but realized I couldn't move. Then I tried to scream, but nothing came out of my mouth. For moments, I saw and felt this evil presence trying to take over my body and soul. The feeling was 1,000 times worse than the sight of it. I could feel the hatred, anger, jealousy, and pure evil emanating from this being into the most inner parts of me. Inside my head, I was screaming and crying. The hollow black entity started shifting in front of me. I started seeing sharp teeth, bat-like wings, and a gargoyle-like face just intermittently changing back and forth to the worst possible things I could ever imagine. Words can't really describe how terrifying this thing was and how scared I felt, but somehow I just knew it was Satan. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore because I felt like I was literally dying just from being in this being's presence, so I started yelling in my head for God. I said over and over, "God, please save me from this thing." After what felt like forever, the entity finally dissipated and I could move again. I immediately jumped from the bed and started searching for a Bible, but there wasn't one anywhere in the room. I was too afraid to lay back down, so I sat on the couch and prayed over and over to God to please forgive me for all of my sins and never let me experience anything like that again. To this day, I haven't seen or felt that presence again, and I keep praying I never have to go through something like that again. I now pray to the Lord multiple times a day and try to do right, be kind and loving as much as possible towards others. I just want everyone to know that both God and the devil do exist. I have always considered myself Christian, even though I've never been baptized. I honestly don't know if my second experience was supposed to be sleep paralysis or a hypnagogic hallucination, but I do know what I experienced was extremely vivid and real, as I was most definitely awake when it occurred. Thank you for joining me on this spiritual journey and hearing these powerful encounters. As we've seen, there is a greater reality beyond what we can see and touch, and these experiences can be life-changing. Whether it's an NDE, a rapture dream, or a personal encounter with the divine, these stories remind us of the power and love of God. It's my hope that hearing these stories has inspired you to seek out your own spiritual journey and to share your experiences with others. Remember, we're all on this journey together, and by sharing our stories, we can uplift and inspire one another to lead more fulfilling and purposeful lives. Thank you for watching, and please consider sharing your own spiritual encounters with us at the email address provided in the description box. Also like, share, and subscribe. May God bless you on your journey.